Yeah, Gold Shield Services.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's 11 o'clock on a Thursday. That means it's time for my LoSo Lifestyle with Mary Shep. And Mary's got a lot to talk about today. I know, because we've just talked in the quote unquote green room, which doesn't actually have any green in it.
I was going to say, it's not really green. It's got a lot of browns.
Yeah, our green room is brown. So there you go.
Okay. Brown's good.
Yeah.
And green is just too exciting. It's too much in the morning.
Yeah.
Even though it's 11 o'clock, it's not. I mean, I know it's morning, but it's not really morning when you get up super early.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens with age. You don't, when you're younger, you can sleep till noon. I couldn't sleep till noon if I tried, unless I was like deathly ill. I really couldn't sleep till noon. When I try to sleep in, I think I might make it like to 6:37. Oh, but you're not really sleeping. You're just laying there. you're still doing stuff. You're just
sleeping in for me is like 3:50 instead of 3:45. So
right.
Right. Yeah, I sleep in 45-minute to 1 hour shifts. That's just how I work.
Yeah. So it's funny because saying sleeping in, I'm actually really tired, but I'm not tired because I don't get sleep. I'm tired because I'm working an ass ton lately, but it's good. It's a good thing. We were actually just talking about that, how I do enjoy my job and my life. And one of my favorite things to say to people now, because I work retail and people come in all the time and inevitably everybody, oh, how are you doing? How's things? And I, you know what? I can't complain. And it throws everybody off. Really? You can't complain? No, I honestly, I can't complain. I got a job that I love, a store that I love, a crew that I love. I got a great boss. And I even just switched bosses. And I still love both my old boss, who was in my store recently, because, in the wonderful world of retail, when everyone's like, oh my God, corporate's coming.
Yeah.
Corporate's office is in my building next to my break room because my store happens to be big enough. So when everyone's like, oh my God, the district manager's coming and everybody's got to be on their best behavior, his office is next to my break room. So when you're sitting in the break room and if you listen loud enough, you probably hear him on a conference call. So I'm lucky in that sense that as far as the big corporation goes, I work for a great one, at least in my district, in my region. And even my regional boss, who I've met numerous times, is absolutely fantastic. He's like a genuinely caring, nice human being. So when you talk about the corporate structure, I consider myself pretty lucky. It's still corporate.
Yeah.
They're not perfect. But it's, I can't complain.
Here's the thing. Corporate and anybody else who is in corporate or in leadership or whatever, guess what? They're still just people.
Right.
I mean,
granted, you get more assholes the higher you get up on the corporate ladder, but
everybody.
I think that comes with money. Well, this is true. And God knows I can be one hell of a one if I really try.
I was not always the pleasant fellow you see before you. So
see, we got good morning, Pamela, my dad, Nora, Gwen. Gwen, she makes it. I think she set a reminder now so she can make it to all my shows.
Yeah. So everybody. Oh, and by the way, a special thank you to Hal from me specifically.
My dad.
Because he actually likes all the Uncle Pete posts in
the
morning.
Really?
He does. I see
thanks,
that.
Dad.
That does not go unnoticed. So thank you very much, Hal,
for supporting the station.
Yeah,
so
he's an awesome dude.
You two would probably do well at morning breakfast and coffee. There's a lot of similarities between the two of you, and just the things that the way you view things and the things you like and all that stuff. If he's ever in town, I'll have to make sure that you guys have breakfast because you'd have a lot to talk to. You'd have a lot to talk about.
We'll get him on the Uncle Pete in the Morning show.
Mm-hmm.
There you
go. So yeah, today it's funny because we're talking about learning a new lifestyle. I never thought I'd be in retail. It's where I landed when my liver failed and I had to, I got bored out of my mind not doing anything. I've always had a job or multiple jobs, whether it was working a normal job and having, bartending on the side or doing whatever. I've always had a job. And so when people ask me, how you doing? And I say, I don't have any complaints. And there's a customer of ours. He's very unique. He's very eccentric. And he's extremely smart. Um, so he's odd. And he's an engineer. He makes really good money. He's also very active in the community, but he's just odd socially. He doesn't interact with people well. Um, but he's a and I've gotten to know him over the years. And he stopped in the other day and he had to pick up a couple things. And same thing. He says, "How you doing?" I said, "I can't complain." He says, I'm glad you're doing well." And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing really." I said, "In all honesty, regardless of what happens, if this whole COVID thing wipes out the planet, or Trump wins, or Trump loses, or whatever the hell happens, the sun is going to rise tomorrow. And whether we are here or not, it's going to rise with or without us. And if an asteroid hits the planet and wipes out the planet, another one's going to take its place, and existence will go on. So whether or not I am here isn't going to change existence. Whether or not I enjoy my existence today on this planet and in my life is entirely my choice." And it's funny because, people always like, "Oh, well, wearing this mask all day long has got to suck for you." You know what else sucks all day? Wearing a bra. On top of that,
I've never tried it.
right. So it's you want to talk about things that, when people say, "Oh, well, what is required?" Me wearing a bra is not required for your safety,
I suppose not.
for your health, for your political view. The only thing it is helpful for is so you don't look at my tits all day because they're staring you in the face. So I'm sorry, but it's not. So when you want to talk to somebody about what is socially acceptable or so politically required, it's just, you want to how about something that's even more uncomfortable? As somebody who has liver disease and nerve damage, I have to wear compression socks. They suck. And I don't know if you've ever put them on. So people were like, "Oh, they're not that bad." You wear them for a sport. So if you play sports or whatever, it's good for it because blah, 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 whatever. So you have the flexibility. I'm sorry, I have nerve damage in my spine. So everything from my rib cage down is screwed. So to physically lift my leg up, is not fun. And to wrestle these things on and then wear them all day long is unbelievably uncomfortable. Now, granted, when I get home at the end of the day, do I feel 1,000 times better for wearing them all day? I do. I have water retention issues because of my liver. And even more so, even though every single doctor has told me that transverse myelitis has nothing to do with water retention, when you look in my group of transverse myelitis people, every single one of them says, "Hey, do you suddenly have an issue retaining water in one leg or the other?" And it's true. Why? Because when you have a paralysis or partial paralysis or any kind of nerve issue where your muscles don't do what they're supposed to do, they don't expand and contract in ways that they're supposed to do so. Therefore, they don't, the fluids in your body aren't shifted around the way they should. So suddenly I found out that even though I have my water under control for all of this time because of my liver, the second I had nerve damage, suddenly I've got a water issue again, and I have to replan everything and change my lifestyle again so that I don't suddenly have a leg that's, everybody's seen those people that walk around and they've got, their ankles this big around because they have a diabetic issue or a liver issue or whatever issue, and they have a water retention issue. And that's truly a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to me. What is it? The voting line said, "When we go out, I'm going to say loudly, can you believe that they ran out of ballots?" That's hilarious. I love when people stir the pot just for the hell of stirring the pot.
That's awesome. I actually did vote today.
So see, and that's awesome. And we've been talking about that too, but it's so much funny. The thing about your life and the choices that you choose to make crack me up. What does Pamela say? "I couldn't wear a mask all day." Oh, asthma. or compression socks, so uncomfortable, and bras, especially underwires. This is true.
Underwires.
Yes, bras have underwires. They hold.
What does that mean?
So the bottom stitching under the cup of a bra, depending on how big your boobs are or how much you want them up in your face, so that others will look at them, there's a wire that goes under it, so it actually helps adhere it to your rib cage. So if that pops out of that steamy stitching, as all women who've ever worn a bra that has an underwire in it, it will inevitably poke out of one of the two sides of your bra and then stab you either in the armpit.
Get the
or,
fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I almost want to take my bra off in the station so I can hand it to Pete just so he can sit here and go, are you shitting me? There's a little wire in here.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Morning,
we'll have
Stan.
to have an HR meeting later.
Right? I'm going to file.
No, I'll take your word for it. I think that's insane, but I'll take your word. I have something new to talk with my wife about.
Oh, I'm sure she can. She's probably got quite a few in hers. So, it's just funny to me because my friend Nicole, who she has a group that's just a feel good group. And it's in all of the things in the world today with politics and COVID and everything. It's just when you live in that world all the time, you're going to feel that way all the time. You can't. There's so much negativity behind all of it when it's, politics this and COVID that and, life and work and fires and car accidents. And it's just, especially when you live on social media. So it's nice to have this social media group that she has that all it does is post good things. And one of the things that she had posted was this meme that said, marriage is hard and divorce is hard and obesity is hard and being fit is hard and being in debt is hard and being financially disciplined is hard. Communication is hard and not communicating is hard. Choose your hard. Life will never be easy. It will always be hard. But choose your hard and pick wisely. And it's 100% true. So part of the reason I wanted to pick today talking about learning a new lifestyle is living the lifestyle I live. Everybody on a regular basis. I can't tell you how many times a day people tell me that you make it look so easy. It is not. It is extremely hard. And it's easy for people to look at me and say, you don't look sick. You don't look crippled. You look normal. And I could say the same thing to you. You look normal. You look like a happy, jovial guy. When in reality, you have a whole mess of personal stuff that you deal with on a regular basis. You have a wife, you have children, you have a job, you have a station. And you, on top of that, have your own gout issues and health issues. Your wife has her health, but you walk around every day and you people don't see those things underneath.
No, because you just do what you got to do.
Right.
And, it's interesting that you talk about that and making it look easy because it's people who make things look easy is primarily because they don't dwell on all of that stuff. It would be actually very easy to go into little pity parties all day long. And then, of course, we all know misery loves company.
Right.
But also, I'm not a big fan of those negative Nellies.
So here's the funny thing about that is, as much as this is the misconception and the whole ignorance is bliss, because it seems easy to complain and to cry and live in that pity party world, when in reality, it's hard.
It takes a lot of energy.
It's really hard. And so somebody I know recently discovered that they have celiac. And they don't want to follow they don't want to do what they need to do because it's hard, was the excuse was given. They don't want to have the medical procedures done. They don't want to do the medication. The diet's hard. All of it's hard. And my response was, so shitting your brains out 15,000 times a day, feeling like crap all the time, nauseous all the time, bloated all the time, underweight, malnourished, is easy. Well, but I mean, I'm used to it. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That is what you've considered your normal.
Mhm.
And it's not easy. That is hard.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. It's nauseating. It's exhausting. It is extremely hard.
But it's something that
Right.
a person learns to live with. And that, what you just said,
Right.
what they just said was, well, that's what I'm used to. And
So
when you
why can't
become
you get
used to
used to
something,
the opposite?
yeah, that becomes your easy,
Yep.
because it's the thing you know,
Right.
and you're not afraid of it anymore,
Right.
because you know what's happening, and you know this is what I do to deal with this. But yeah, that would, I mean, it kind of sucks.
Right. And that's what's so funny when people say, "Oh, well, it's easier." It is not easier. It is hard. It is hard to go to the doctor all the time. It is hard to be overweight. It is hard to be obese. It is hard to be sick or to have migraines or whatever. And it's so common for people to say, well, it's easy to, reach in the cupboard and grab a chocolate bar or whatever and forget that it makes me feel horrible. And this is true. I can't even tell you how many bags. And it's funny because I stopped with those kinds of candy bars and ding dongs and ho hos and whatever because they are loaded in sodium and it causes me problems. On the flip side, I discovered chocolate morsels. So I have white chocolate morsels, dark chocolate morsels, peanut butter morsels. I have every butterscotch morsels. I have every kind of morsel that you could possibly think of, from the baked mint ones.
So who makes those morsels? Is that a Nestle thing?
Oh, any Signature Select Jewel brand. It
What,
doesn't
it doesn't
matter.
matter. So
Whatever.
advertisers and
Right.
sponsors, you've got someone right here who will
Right.
gladly promote your product there.
Just
So,
like underwires, which are low in sodium.
I
Kent
mean,
wants me to talk about pulling my boobs out again.
I'd prefer we move on from that topic.
Right. But
Again,
so I discovered that, the chocolate morsels that you bake with, the little chocolate chips that go in cookies, for the vast majority of them, they don't have sodium.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they are sugar.
Yeah.
And sugar is also an inherent evil when it comes to things that you should consume. But because they are so sweet, to have a little handful of 5 or 6 of them is that perfect little snack to get. Whereas on the flip side, for whatever crack that they put into the little mini Snickers bars, I'll eat 72 of those.
Oh, that's easy to do.
10 times more than an actual Snickers bar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give me the handful of the little chocolate morsels, I will only eat 6 or 7 of those and pop them in my mouth, and I get a nice little chocolate snack, and I move on about my day. So in my lifestyle change, I found something that still makes me happy, but it's not as detrimental as the alternative. And so when people talk about me making it look easy, and I just had a conversation with a friend yesterday and said, sometimes I wish if it wasn't so extremely, I mean, literally like death could die to my health. I almost wish that I could just lapse on everything just to show people how sick I really am. And even when I was in the hospital, it still wasn't that bad. Like, we got it under control very quickly. And immediately I quit smoking. I quit drinking. You want to talk about hard. I was a 20-year smoker, 2 packs a day. I like scotch. Doesn't mean I was an alcoholic starting at 6 o'clock in the morning and drinking until I passed out. I do enjoy a single malt spale and scotch. My father-in-law makes killer brandy old fashions. They're delicious. But all of it, quit drinking, quit smoking. Okay, next. What do you got? You want to talk about a lifestyle change?
Yeah.
That, but that's where when people say it's so hard, the world is full of fad diets and food delivery and meal kits. And we're hyper focused on this convenience. And you can make healthy convenient.
Yeah.
It just has to be something that you make part of your lifestyle.
Well, I mean, and you could do that probably, but my wife actually, because we have, here's the stupid thing to me, and I better rephrase that. She doesn't listen to this anyway. She doesn't. Well, she doesn't. I don't know if she listens to your show or not. I've never asked her. I don't know. But anyway, we have rabbits
Mhm.
and a guinea pig. So there are always
Greens. Hmm.
vegetables and greens and things in the house. So it was really convenient for me to go, okay, you know what? Those meat sticks are making me feel really, really bad. Can't put those in my
Yep.
mouth anymore for a while. So I'm just going to grab some broccoli and cauliflower. And,
Right.
I still put it in a bit of dip, but even that's spinach and artichoke, which I can't believe I actually like.
I'm going to
But,
bring you some dip next week, actually.
it is, that is now convenient because it's always there.
Hmm.
So when you decide to put different things in your cupboards, in your shelves, on your
Right.
counter, whatever, then convenience is what you've made it. So
And that's the thing is, when we were talking about easy and hard, and it's once you get used to that it's there and you realize that it's not bad and you find a way to make it so that I was reading a really good article the other day about dopamine dependence. And obviously people who have drug addiction problems, heroin and stuff like that, that's essentially the same thing. You're forcing that dopamine. Whereas you, me, everybody else on the face of the planet, you have these little things throughout the day that make you happy, and it releases a little dopamine in your body naturally. Your body naturally creates it. So it's the problem with so much of our younger generation is this instant gratification. There's no downtime.
no,
It's this constant, why do you look at your phone all the time? Because you want to see if people liked what you posted. It gives you that, oh, someone liked something and it's a happy feeling, and now there's a dopamine kick. And all of those different things. The same with food. You eat a piece of chocolate and it makes me happy. I made a bowl of ice cream. It made me happy. And you get that dopamine kick. And the problem is, if you have that too much at a point, without it, you have no drive to do anything. So the things that you need to do on a daily basis, you need to eat, you need to go to the bathroom, you need to have proper hygiene, the things that you need just to live, you don't want to do because there's no enjoyment, there's no excitement about it. And without it, you just stop doing it. And subsequently, that starts a cycle of depression, which is a whole other ball of chemicals that your body releases. Because then not only do you not get the rush of doing things that are exciting, but you have this flip side of this downward spiral of almost like a child throwing a tantrum when you tell them they got to clean the room. You make it so much worse than it actually is. Oh my God, I don't want to eat broccoli. And it turns into this horrible thing, like me with bananas. I don't like bananas. And if I sat here and thought about it, then yes, I'm going to go, this is gross. And I will literally make myself nauseous thinking about eating a banana. Versus if I go, you know what? I'm going to feel better almost instantly. I will be perked up. I will have the energy. I'm not going to be shitty all day long. Shove the stupid thing down my throat, get it done, swallow it, good, I'm gone. And in 30 seconds, so it's not something that makes me happy, but it's so quick and painless. It's now my normal that it's almost like if you had to take a pill every day so that you didn't get a debilitating migraine. Pills aren't fun. They don't taste good. Most of them are the size of freaking some weird alien creature. You just shove it in your mouth and get it over with. And it's the same kind of thing where if you just don't make it a big deal and it's part of your normal and it's part of your life, then you're used to it. No different than the guy that is crapping his brains out 1,000 times a day and thinks that, oh, well, that's easier than doing what I medically need to actually get better.
Yeah, that's people shouldn't be doing
Right.
that.
Right. But you get so used to saying, "Oh, that's my normal," so I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Once I discovered with my diet in my lifestyle change how much better I felt. So now the slightest little thing in it's not like I feel a little crappy. It's I know this is going to be 3 days for me to recover. And that's how I felt all the time without realizing it.
Mm.
So when people look at me and say it's super easy, I have the luxury now because of the lifestyle I've led since 2015 that I can go out to dinner and I know what to eat. I know what options I have. I know what to choose so that I'm not affected. And it's not just sodium. It's an entire balance. I eat real food. So even when I go out to places, I try and people are like, you always get a burger because other than the bun, the vast majority of everything in it, if it's a decent restaurant, is not processed anything.
Yeah.
It's real meat, even though red meat is not your best option. It's still real meat, lettuce, tomatoes, onions. You know, if you're at a nice place, they actually make their own aioli, which is a mayonnaise. So the bun is usually the only thing that's anything processed. So even though it's heavy and filling, I don't have to suffer for days. Once my body digests it, I'm good.
Yeah. Do you actually eat the bun?
I do.
Do you? I found myself just, well, I mean, because I got used to having like a burger with
Right.
no bun a while back when I was doing like the next to no carbs. Like my limit was 20 to 25 grams per day, and that was almost an entire year. And I just got used to it. Now I find myself eating, like I don't even finish the
Mm-hmm.
bread on a sandwich. I'll take it apart and eat what's inside and be happy with it. I'm that just surprised me when I realized that's what I was doing.
My husband and I, the same thing. We a while ago, and I think we talked about this before, where it was just one of those days where we didn't have buns. We had ground beef. Decided we were gonna. I'm like, you know what? Everybody talks about these lettuce burgers. So I had a head of bib lettuce or butter lettuce. That's just whatever. It's super good. So let's try it. Why not? Worst case scenario,
Oh, you just wrapped it in the
right. We're knife and fork in a burger. Who cares?
Yeah.
So it just held together better.
Hmm?
And we both were like, holy crap, like this is
You can still
I
put all
don't
your
miss the bun
condiments
at
and
all.
everything
Yeah.
on there. And I mean, I'll have like a cheeseburger
Right.
with lettuce, tomato, ketchup, mustard, mayo,
Mm-hmm.
the entire thing. And you don't, it, for me, I got to the point where you don't notice that you're not eating bread.
Right.
You just
I was
don't.
surprised I didn't miss it at all. And Nicole joined us. I don't know if she heard the beginning of the show. If you didn't watch the beginning of the show, Nicole, I was talking about you. So it's funny how you don't even realize that you're missing those things. And the things that you discover, like you with your vegetables, when you start to say, okay, when you're eating more of the stuff that's good for you, and that's why I was going to bring you dip next week, because Dax Spices, I was talking to the owner of Dax Spices, who everybody knows that I love. If you watch me at all, you know I love Dax Spices. DaxSpices.com. She is sending me some spices because I go through them for my recipes so fast, trying to create recipes for my book that so I sent her, I'm like, I can't, they're not available on the website, but can I get this and this and this in the big jug? So I made a special request. So she's sending them out. So I'm going to bring you the ranch dip because there's healthier options than what you get at the store. So if you all you have to do, like making a pot of coffee, is take a couple of scoops of some seasoning and throw it in a bucket of sour cream. And now you can have all your vegetables and you still get your happy because you're like, I'm going to eat half a tub of sour cream. It still feels good.
Mm-hmm.
So you still get that little dopamine kick and you're doing the right thing. So now suddenly you've made your lifestyle something that's easier and happier and healthier for you without the misery associated with it.
And see, I can handle all the cream in the world. My stomach is happy for. It's thrilled to get anything creamy and smooth and non-meaty. It's thrilled with.
Right.
But I mean, I don't absolutely love and adore meat. fact, we had bacon sandwiches for dinner last night,
I had a BLT last week.
and
It was amazing.
I actually wound up taking the bacon off and just eating the bacon, and y- bacon is not, for whatever reason, maybe it's because it's like
It's cured.
thin or small or whatever. It doesn't do
Right.
as bad as beef does,
Right.
but
Well, there's also
yeah,
a lot less of the actual
meat,
meat in
yeah,
it. So it,
yeah,
even though it's got a lot of fat in it, and plus it's
massive,
cured.
yeah.
So it's a different, and even I've tried, because I mean, we are meat lovers. So I've tried to eat less and less, because I'd eat red meat 7 days a week if you gave me a chance.
Mhm.
So I try to make a concerted effort to have, stuffed mushrooms. There's a new recipe that I saw Dax post that I want to try. So I try to incorporate things that aren't as heavily meat based and do more lean, chickens and turkeys and poultries and fish and things like that. Um, for that exact reason, because it's when you start having that shift, um, and you realize what you're wanting to do, and that's the bigger thing, is changing a lifestyle is a huge undertaking. It really, really is a huge undertaking. And when you try, you don't want to you don't want to make it bad, but you don't want to also make it too easy.
Right.
When you're like, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it, or it's not that big of a deal, it's cakewalk, I got it. You need to be realistic about it and say, yes, it is. It's an actual lifestyle change, and it is a big deal. Um, like with me quitting smoking or quitting drinking, that's not an easy thing to do.
Mhm.
Even if you're not an alcoholic, try to quit drinking. Like if you're a drinker, even if it's only a social drinker, try to quit drinking. It's when you realize, or when you actually make a concerted effort to say, I'm going to go a solid month without a single solitary alcoholic beverage. Even now, when it's not even a social kind of world where everybody's stuck at home,
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to undertake. You realize, or even sugar. If you say, I'm going to cut back on sugar, cut back on carbs, it's a big undertaking.
It is. Sugar for me is a big. I mean, I've got a massive sweet tooth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one for me. The smoking and drinking thing. I mean, drinking. I got that out of my system before I was even 21.
Right.
And so by the time I turned 21, I was like, no, thank you.
Right.
I can't, no, horrible experience. Don't want to do that again. And with smoking, I actually quit smoking April of 2001 on that landing, that top landing out there, because I actually had an office here about it back at that time. But I came up the stairs, and I used to smoke the Marlboro
Mm-hmm.
Menthol 100s, and I was doing a pack a day. And I got to the top of those stairs, I had to sit down,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, what the hell? Okay,
Yep.
enough of that. And that was when I quit. And now that was, to be fair, I did have the occasional cigar up until about 10
I don't know if
years
anybody
ago.
smoked and hand cigars, though. Those are different,
Um, I mean,
in my opinion. I think they're different.
I would have a cigar about, once or twice a week for a while, for a while, and then it went down to like maybe once a month. And then I like to have a glass of port with the
Mm-hmm.
cigar on my front porch. And but then, a long time ago, my daughter said, "Well, don't smoke anything anymore."
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not good for you. It's really not. It's
yeah.
it's horrible for your teeth. Um, but that's, so you don't, when people say I make it look easy, I'm lucky in the fact that my dopamine kick comes from cooking. So when I make something that tastes good, that's healthy, and that other people genuinely enjoy, that's my high.
Mm,
So it's part of the reason why it was easier for me. It doesn't mean it's easy, because making a recipe to share with you is one thing. So if I have a day off and I want to make stuff, that's great. But when I get done, like yesterday, I had to go into my store for 4 hours in the morning, and then I went home and had lunch and went back to my store for the rest of the night.
mm.
So it's not like I had time to go home and go, oh, I'm going to get excited about creating something. I went home and shoved something in my gullet, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy because you wish that you could have, a fast food or whatever, all of these convenience things, and they are all horrible. There's no good choice, because to make healthy food quickly in a restaurant style setting is typically really expensive and labor intensive, so it's not profitable. They can do it, and some
Yeah.
restaurants do, and there's a lot of restaurants, sit down restaurants, that do make the effort, make their own sauces and make their own soups and make all these other things. The problem is they also add a ton of salt. For somebody like me, that's not a healthier
Yeah.
option. Somebody like you or anybody else that could, is okay with those higher sodium levels, it might be okay. But on the vast majority of people, even if you think you're healthy, you can afford a lower sodium diet and reduce your water retention. People just don't.
Mm.
The biggest thing that with any lifestyle change is to make a plan. And as somebody who comes from an HR background, I can guarantee that you understand, you, regardless of what you're trying to achieve, you need to make a plan, and you need to write down what you are trying to accomplish with specific goals. So just saying that I just want to lose weight, or I want to eat healthier, or I want to eat less sugar, I want to drink less soda. You need to make a specific plan, write it down with actual specific, attainable, realistic goals and the timeline in which you plan to achieve them. In the corporate world, it's a level of accountability that we can hold ourselves to and our staff to, and so on and so forth. On a personal level, it's unbelievably difficult and extremely important, and nobody does it. Because if you say, I want to lose 10 pounds by Christmas, it is a realistic, attainable goal. And then how are you going to do that? Are you going to eat more vegetables? Are you going to eat less meat? Are you going to eat meat only 2 days a week? And even if all you do is write down those two things, that I want to lose 10 pounds by Christmas, so you have an actual goal and a timeline in which you want to achieve it, whether it's, lower your A1C levels, or, eat carbs less, or whatever, an actual specific, I want to stay under X amount of grams of sugar every day. And journal every single day, whether you use an app or you just write it down and say what you've eaten. If you don't know what's in a can of soda, but you write down every day what you eat, and you realize every day I have 3 cans of soda. And every day that means I'm exceeding my sugar limits, my sodium limits, all of this purely because of soda. And that's it. Once you make yourself aware, it's really hard to lie to yourself.
I'm not going to say what I was about to say. Never mind. Go ahead.
It's really, it's easier to hold yourself, whether you actually hold yourself accountable is a different story, but it's easier to hold yourself to some level of accountability when you are aware of what you're doing. You might not make the change, but it's easier to make that process, especially if you're committed. So if you genuinely want to make a change, by having that actual goal set, and you can modify it, and if you don't make it, it doesn't mean you have to shoot yourself in the foot over the fact that you didn't make this goal. Life changes, things change, health changes, whatever. Life happens. But it makes your path much more attainable when you have structure to it. And it's funny, because when you do that, it's also easier to find ways to celebrate your wins. So when you write it down and you look and you go, holy crap, I ate broccoli or a vegetable 7 days this week. Because if I asked you right now, you'd say, you know what, I did. I've eaten a lot of vegetables this week. I've eaten quite a bit. You'd actually have to physically sit here and go, okay, what did I eat Monday? What did I eat Tuesday? And count it up. And it's a lot of effort. You're going to go, okay, screw that. I don't want to do it. If you flip through a book and you go, okay, I'm going to tally mark and say vegetable that day, vegetable that day, vegetable that day. I literally ate healthy 7 days last week. I'm going to go out and have a ho-ho or 6. I don't care. I'm going to celebrate. That was freaking awesome. Pat myself on the back. And now that lifestyle change and what gives you that dopamine kick has now shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you have success in that. Telling yourself you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have this is not how you describe success.
No, it's not at all. Because I know very well. I can take, because I love, I love those little automatic. I call them automatic platters. The things that you can buy at Sam's, where it's got in the middle, it's got 3 rows of crackers. It's got cheese in a corner, and then it's got like some meat in this corner and some meat in that corner. You
little
take it
Lunchables.
home. Well, no, it's like a great big round.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
A giant Lunchable. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a giant Lunchable for a party. But, I get those and I take it home, and those sit in my fridge for about a week before they're all gone. Because I love some cheese, meat, and cracker. Cheese, meat, and cracker.
Same.
But then when I realized that if I down 5 or 6 of those, and all of a sudden my stomach's going, dude, and it's poking me really hard right there. I'm like, oh, dang, I can't do cheese, meat, and cracker. I can do cracker and cheese.
Right. Especially if it's hard cheeses, because hard cheeses don't have, so the cheddars and stuff like that, the process in making them, they don't have lactose. So if you're lactose intolerant, if you stick to the harder cheeses, you're good.
It's not it's the friggin' meat.
Right.
It's the meat that gets on me here and gets on my heel.
So my cheat for that, in all honesty, at the grocery store, you can get those rotisserie chickens. They have them already shredded. So when they don't sell them that day, they shred them up and they put them in a little tin. You can buy a pound of seasoned rotisserie chicken. So I will do the same thing that you are talking about, but instead of a red meat that upsets your stomach, it's a piece of chicken and cheese and a cracker. And it's still super tasty.
Is it?
And it's fulfilling. So for me, someone like you, if you put some like red pepper flake or something spicy on that chicken.
Actually, that might not be that bad.
And then you have a little piece of chicken. So you have a protein, a cheese, and it still gives you this fulfilling thing without having the red meat that upsets you so much. So Stan said that his nutritionist embraces cheat days once a week because cheating 4 times a month is better than eating like crap 30 days out of the month. And that is 100% true. And I'm never a fan of cheating. I'm a fan of honesty. If you know what you're consuming, then cheat all you want. There's no cheating about it. If you're aware and you genuinely know what it is you're putting in your body, then I can have potato chips and I can have whatever else because I'm completely aware that I ate, a piece of fruit for breakfast and I had something good for lunch and I had snacks of, cashews and dark chocolate and whatever throughout the day. So if I want to have a bowl of ice cream at the end of the day, I don't even think about it. I don't think twice about it, nor do I think about how many scoops of ice cream are in that bowl. I specifically find ice cream that is made with natural products. So yes, is it a lot of dairy and a lot of sugar? Sure it is. But I specifically hunt down, and it is more expensive, but then I don't have to think about it. I can have a bowl of ice cream and I don't care. And that's where I don't focus on the bad parts because now even cheating has become a bad thing. And you're still looking for the goods. You're looking for the dopamine kick. You're looking for the good bits. And I just choose not to live my life that way. I want to find the parts. So it's like, okay, I've accepted that I want to make a lifestyle change. So this is the change that I'm going to make.
Yeah.
And by making a plan and saying, and it's funny because Kent had talked about, there's a new app. I'm sure everybody's seen the bazillion ads on TV called Zoom. No, is it Zoom? Not Zoom. Noom. Zoom, because everybody's doing Zoom meetings. So I can't get that out of my brain.
Did one yesterday.
Right. Same.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about, and I personally can't speak to it because I haven't done it, but I know a lot of people that have. The one thing that I can agree with on it though is it's the psychology behind what you're eating. It's not reward based. It's not punishment. It's not calorie counting. It's not meal planning or points. It all it does is make you aware of what you're doing. Whether you use an app or you use a piece of paper or you track things, um, you need to journal what you're doing somehow. And it's that just makes it easier.
Well, and it's amazing because you can discover things, and you'll discover things like I actually have not been to my doctor in over a year now. Because the whole COVID, I
Right.
was, and I'll qualify this in a minute. I was on blood pressure meds, and in September I ran out, and the last one that said no, no refills
Right.
after whatever. So I called, and they're like, "Hey, we can't give you a refill unless you come in." I'm like, "Well, I can't get in right now, so what do I do?" So they were going to call in a 30-day refill for
Right.
my meds. However, the meds that I'm on are right now way on back order because apparently the COVIDs gave everybody high blood
Yep.
pressure because of the stress, and so now you can't get it. So I've actually not been on blood pressure meds since the last week of September. Doctor said, "Okay, just keep track of all of your, take your blood pressure every
Right.
day, keep track of it, see what you're doing, where you're at, and we'll talk on the 30th. We'll talk on the 30th, and if see where you're at." Well, turns out I don't apparently need the blood pressure meds.
Mm-hmm.
My blood pressure is as low or lower without the meds and has been consistently every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, it's like, okay, well, then never mind. Guess you don't need the blood pressure meds
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So there you go.
And that's what's
But
funny is it's not like you didn't become a marathon sprinter. You didn't become a holistic 30-day whole food eater. You
the,
eat slightly better and you walk.
there's a treadmill.
Right. But you're not
And
running 6 hours straight.
oh Lord,
Like
no. I
you,
don't like to run
yeah,
at all.
yeah. And
So
so Kent says he's down 16 pounds in 8 weeks, and it educates you on why and how to eat what you're eating. And that's the Noom app again. So I've become increasingly frustrated with um, food tracking apps. They are fantastic tools. They really are. The problem is, like many other things, is it gives you this false sense of security that you can punch in that you had a Subway sandwich and it tracks everything and you trust that it's spot on and you know exactly what you're getting. And the problem is you don't double check and verify. Yes, once you create a list of foods that you eat commonly and you verified them, then you have a little bit more leeway, like I do, to pick anything in my diet, in my diary, and plug it in there, and it's going to automatically be right. Because sadly, a lot of people can input, that there's a new menu item at some restaurant, they can plug it in there. And most times a lot of people put in the calorie and the fat content and nothing else. So it says it's 0 sodium, 0 potassium, 0 whatever, and it is not. And then you have problems. So you really do have to trust but verify when it comes to those kinds of things. But you need to find a way to celebrate as much as possible in any lifestyle change, anything at all, whether it's cleaning your house more often or eating less sugar or, like you with eating more vegetables without even realizing it. If you start celebrating those wins more and more often, you go, holy crap, I did eat like this all week long without even realizing it. That you need to celebrate those things, and you need to find a way to make yourself feel good about them, or at
and
least
see, I don't.
not be so upset about having it in the first place.
And hearing you say that to me almost sounds absolutely silly because
Right.
it's just I do it and I've been doing it because I don't like the alternative.
Right.
I don't like the way I feel. I prefer the other and I prefer the flavor in my mouth of the other. I just don't like how I feel now. So I just do the other. And to me, that's just simply okay. It's not, I don't feel like I'm celebrating a win. I feel like, okay, cool. I don't have to take blood pressure meds
Right.
anymore. So maybe this is a way to just keep doing that and not have to worry about that anymore. Even though I still am a big round fellow,
You're just a healthier big round fellow.
yeah. So
But that's the
you
thing
know,
is, even, and it's funny because you say, I enjoy the flavor of this and I enjoy the taste of that. Eventually, and it's so fun to read in our groups when people genuinely commit to changing their lifestyle and their perspective. And there's always these moments on a daily basis where someone posts, I like you. I went to the doctor and he said, you're feeling sick because we need to take you off of your blood pressure medication, or you're this or that or the other, because you don't need it. And because you don't need it, it's making you feel like garbage. So let's reduce it or take you off it or do whatever. Or on the flip side, with your palate changing, and suddenly you go out and have a burger and you're like, whoa, this is just it's just overpowering. Or when you cut back on sugar and you have a pop for the first time, and how you're like, even juice, because I don't drink juice anymore. I have to cut it.
mm,
It's just sugar water. It's just straight up sugar water. And it's funny to me because it is more expensive to buy just juice.
yeah, juice is not cheap.
Like one little bottle is like $7. I can get a big giant jug of sugar laden juice for half the price.
You can get a great big giant 3 liter at Dollar Tree for $1.
I know.
So there you go.
But that's the thing is, and you got to find ways to celebrate. And by tracking what you're doing is how you're going to do that, because you don't realize until you look back. And even I've always been a big fan of journaling, because when you go back, and even if you're having a bad day and you write down Pete was an asshole and this happened and this person and that person, 6 weeks later you go back and read through it and you're like, well, I remember that day. And okay, maybe Pete wasn't out of line. I was just frustrated because this and that and the other happened, and I almost got in 2 car accidents on my way in, which is true of today. You weren't an asshole, but almost getting 2 car accidents.
Okay.
But you look back and you have a different perspective, because when you're no longer in that angry, frustrated, my world sucks mode, and you read something that happened a few weeks ago and you say, all right, maybe I need to self-check myself more often. So I've always been a huge proponent of journaling. So when you look back and you say, okay, what did I eat last week? Go, holy crap. I did really well.
Yeah.
Like, this is no wonder why I feel so much better. And then as time passes and you do decide you're going to go out, like Kent said, one day he went out and his wife got French fries and he threw a French fry in his mouth. Mine was almonds or something. My sister had a baggie full of them in her council. We're just chatting away in her car, driving somewhere, and I threw a handful of them in my mouth and spit them out. Like, it burnt my mouth. They're covered in salt.
Wow.
And I went, holy crap, I can't. My whole palate has changed. And even now, the same thing. When I go out to a restaurant, it's not that food tastes bad. It's so cloyingly salty or peppery because that's what everybody puts on. Instead of using flavor profiles from garlic or onions or peppers or things like that to give it flavor, it's all salt reliant.
Yeah.
And that I just can't, it doesn't taste good to me anymore. And it's the same with beef. Unless it's straight up a slab of steak or a burger, I don't know.
Not.
It's just not,
Doesn't work for
I'd
you.
rather
Yeah.
something else. So, when you do any kind of change, the biggest thing, and I think Kent and I were talking about this last week, was to not get discouraged by setbacks or plateaus, especially in a diet change. When you change the energy that you're putting in your body, and I don't mean like energy out in the world, I mean physical food is energy. Sugars are energy, proteins are energy. They fuel your body. When you change that structure, you will lose a lot of weight at first. Most of it's water weight. And then you will plateau for a bit. And typically you will end up gaining weight back. And then you will balance out into a normal structure again. And so many people tend to get discouraged after that initial weight loss.
Mm.
And then when their body starts to say, okay, I'm going to hold on to and either gain weight or plateau out for a while until I figure out what's going on here. Those are the times when people give up.
Yeah.
And the problem is because 90% of the time they're on a diet that is either restrictive, it's calorie based. You can't have this, you can't have that. It's all of these can'ts versus you getting excited about feeling better and doing what's right and committed to changing your life simply by being aware of what you're consuming. It doesn't mean you can't have the ice cream.
Yeah.
Because there's two things I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up cheese.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving it. How do you find low sodium cheese? I don't care. I don't care. I am lactose intolerant. I discovered that if I could eat hard cheeses, it won't upset me. So I do that. I can still have my cheese. And I make my food super healthy, super low sodium, so I can put 17 pounds of cheese on it. My husband and I bought a big giant bag of cheese, the little 1-inch cubes.
Okay.
It, no joke, I think was a 3-pound bag from Sam's Club. And we demolished it in like a week. Wow. Both of us. You open the fridge. Oh, look at a little Ziploc baggie of some cheese. Wow. There you go. Handful of cheese nuggets.
I'm surprised at the stuff that's, we recently, because we moved down there where that is, but I've been going in and out of there. I'm surprised the stuff you can get that is not that bad, and it's not that expensive either. Really isn't. Like those giant trays of cheese and crackers and the meat, which I can't really do. But we got what was it? Is a wrapped thing. They're separate in there, but it was like, I think it's like 3 or 4 pounds of bacon. And it's like $10.
Yeah.
I'm like, bacon for 10 freaking bucks?
Yep.
That much?
Yeah.
Hey, you can freeze it.
I love Sam's Club. Yeah. I'm a huge fan. Sam's Club and Costco. I just live closer to Sam's Club, so.
But that's where my wife goes to get like a lot of the greens in bulk for the rabbits and such.
Same.
And because I guess it's a lot cheaper than just going to the regular old grocery store.
Yep.
But we got 2.
So I know that I'm not a fan of doctors. It seems more profitable to treat than it is to cure. So that being said, you need to find a good one that fits what you want to do and listen to their advice. So when they tell you you need to do things, that's why my husband healed so well after his car accident. He hated it. He hated the therapy, but he listened and he got full range of motion in his knee back. And it's the same with me. I listened to what my doctor said, and I found doctors that listened to me. And that made a huge difference, because when you make a diet change, you do affect your internal organs, your blood pressure, all of these things, and you can cause more problems than you do good. Like the keto diet, it's a good diet. It's not for everybody though. So you need to be aware and do it under guidance. And again, how do you know what to change if you don't know what you have to start with?
Yeah.
And by doing that blood work, you can help. So support station, support me. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, 216 The Net and My LoSo Lifestyle. Please, the more subscribers we have on our channels, the more things that we get to do with our YouTube. And of course, our website and Facebook pages. And if you ever have any suggestions, just shoot us a message. We're here all the time, anytime you want.
Yep.
And we'll be back next week.
Next week at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Take care.